I'd like to introduce you to the incomparable Joshua Lenon. Joshua, he's an attorney admitted to the New York bar. He studied law at St. Louis University School of Law, obtained a Juris Doctorate and a certificate in international and comparative law. And if you're not familiar with Clio, I'm not sure how you wouldn't be because it's used by, I believe, about 150,000 lawyers. But it's a fantastic case management system, and you can organize your law practice, and it can help make you more profitable. So with that, Joshua, I believe I unmuted you, and you're welcome to take the floor.
Hi, I'm Joshua Lenon. I'm the lawyer in residence at Clio, and I'm going to talk about evaluating legal technology for your law firm and giving you an example of how to do that using Clio. So, like Tom said, I'm a lawyer in residence at Clio. Yes, it's a made-up title. I made it up myself, but I think it encapsulates a lot of the legal scholarship and work that I do on behalf of Clio in terms of applying technology to the practice of law. And one fun fact about me is I'm incredibly active on Twitter. And so I hope that you guys follow me at Joshua Lenon to learn a little bit more about me and the things that I do, both as a lawyer in residence, but also as a cook. I have a very popular hashtag called Peasant King that follows my foodie adventures, and I'd like to see you there. I think for most law firms, there are business and ethical considerations when it comes to legal technology. And while a lot of lawyers kind of have a grasp on the ethical considerations, not a lot of lawyers focus on the business considerations when it comes to choosing technology for their law firm and how to apply it. So I found a really interesting article in the Harvard Business Review, actually in last March, which talked about the elements of value when it comes to working with services. And they found that there were 40 elements of value. I'll go over them briefly, but they categorized them into 5 different levels. So there were table stakes, there were functional, there was an ease of doing business, there was individual and inspirational. And what was interesting about these 40 fundamental elements of value is when they surveyed thousands of different business professionals on the purchases that they're making, they found that while people talked a lot about table stakes, it was the higher level values, those 2 through 5, that really kind of drove repeat business. And I think it's important for lawyers to know about these elements of value, not just in terms of choosing technology, which is what I'm going to apply them to, but also in presenting yourself to your clients and seeing how they're choosing you. So it's kind of a meta-level analysis of how to choose technology, but also how to present yourself in order to gain business. So if a company is providing all of these different levels of value to you, then it'll be really easy for them to serve your needs and encourage repeat business from you. You're winning. And if you can do the same thing for your clients, move them up this graph from table stakes at the bottom to inspirational at the top, then you should have a phenomenal practice with tons of repeat business and tons of repeat referrals. Now, how do I know that this works? Well, Clio lives this every day. And our strongest driver of adoption amongst lawyers is word of mouth. So easily 30% of our customer base come from lawyers referring other lawyers to us. And it shows that we're providing more than just table stakes value, but something that impresses our customers and has driven them to be some of our biggest supporters in sales channels. As Tom mentioned, there are 150,000 law firms in 90 countries around the world using us, and I think that's a testament to our value that we provide for you guys, not just in terms of software, but going well beyond that. So let's take a look at these different levels of value and see how they might apply to legal technology, and then walk you through a Clio example of how we try to meet these values ourselves. So table stakes, it's really quite simple. Table stakes meet your product specifications, they have an acceptable price, they have regulatory compliance, and they have ethical standards. Now, when comparing legal technology out there, I find that a lot of lawyers get tripped up on acceptable price, and a lot of lawyers get tripped up on regulatory compliance in 2 different ways. First of all, with acceptable price, they oftentimes don't know how to calculate a return on investment. So am I getting my money's worth out of this tool? Instead, they look at it as overhead and whether or not they can kind of cut it and make do with a jury-rigged system. So one of the things that you as a lawyer should be able to evaluate and get feedback from a legal technology vendor is what type of proof do they have of value in terms of return on investment. For example, Clio has interviewed thousands of our customer base, and we find that on average, we save them 1 to 2 hours a day in administrative work, freeing them up to do more billable work. So with the average rate of the Clio billing lawyer being about $263 per hour, we can give you back 8 hours a week of billable hours. That is easily $1,000 in billable value that you can apply to offset the cost of our software. And it's that type of simple analysis that a lot of lawyers just don't seem to make when it comes to applying legal technology to their practice. Does it give you the ability to earn more? The second thing that a lot of lawyers don't look at is regulatory compliance, and that's becoming a much bigger part of evaluating legal technology nowadays because the threats are becoming more prevalent. We still see tons of lawyers who are using Windows XP, who are using Internet Explorer, and not doing a great way of maintaining their own cybersecurity. And what's interesting is not only do we have an ethical obligation to maintaining confidentiality, of which cybersecurity is a component, but we're starting to see our clients pushing cybersecurity regulatory compliance onto us. For example, if you are a lawyer representing hospitals, doctors, medical insurance companies, you may need to comply with HIPAA and high-tech regulations on the preservation and protection of medical personal information. Now, there's nothing in that law that says this applies to lawyers, but it does apply to vendors who serve those types of clients. And so it's an outside-in regulatory system coming our way. And legal technology as a whole tends not to focus on regulatory compliance, with one big exception, and that's cloud computing services. Those tend to focus on regulatory compliance because they are in part of a larger ecosystem of internet tools and technology, and those do build in certain types of regulatory compliance. So you need to be able to meet these table stakes, but once you do, and there are a lot of great programs out there that do, you need to be able to move beyond that and make some choices on what's a good fit for you. So, for example, are they giving you functional value? And Harvard Business Review breaks that down into two different types: economic, either improving your top line, i.e. bringing more dollars in the door, or making cost reductions, making it cheaper to do the same amount of work that you do now. Those are two ways to improve your margins. And as I talked about before, Clio is able to demonstrate that, and lots of other programs should be able to as well. The other thing that we should be looking at is performance. So product quality, scalability, innovation. You want to be able to see that this isn't just a stagnant product, but something that will grow with you, either in terms of longevity of your law firm or the size of your law firm, or in new product offerings. Moving on, we have the ease of doing business. Here, for example, is productivity, ease of doing business, versus operational ease of doing business. There are lots of different ways legal technology can contribute here. I think that's very important is transparency. I find that legal technology companies need to be transparent with lawyers such that you can easily do your due diligence when it comes to your ethical and cybersecurity considerations. So if a company is not working with you to provide the type of answers that you need, they're clearly not a good fit for you in terms of ease of doing business. There's also access. I think access is important in terms of both availability, but also in configurability. We're seeing more and more that people with disabilities or people who are challenged in using certain types of technology need accommodation. And again, legal technology should be helping you meet the needs of not just yourself and your law firm, but your clients. And so configurability in terms of accessibility features is very important. And we also want a relationship here. So are they working at the hours that you work? Do they have the same commitment to you as you have to your client? Is there a cultural fit such that you're going to work together on the same types of problems and issues? All of these are things that ease your doing business. And of course, there is strategic, which risk reduction, flexibility, component quality, all of these are a great way to measure. The next thing you need to look at is individual value. And what is this legal technology doing for you as an individual? Does it, for example, advance your career? or does it help with your own personal growth goals? There are lots of different ways to measure this, but I do think we're starting to see that legal technology is moving beyond just the software you use and looking at other ways to contribute to value of you as a professional and as a person. And then the last one is inspirational value, and this is the top of the mountain. You want to work with a company that actually represents your values. And as we're seeing with a lot of companies in the news right now, for example, Facebook, and they're sharing the data with certain types of organizations to which some people have an objection, social responsibility and value actually matter when it comes to choosing technology. You want somebody who's going to work alongside you on the same types of problems and prevent problems for you in the future by being socially responsible. If you can find a legal technology company that does all of these things, they're going to be a great fit for you, and they're worth your investment. So I want to talk about an example of how this came together. So when taking a look at IT service companies, and this is just hardware, they found that they were all pretty much interchangeable in terms of their product. You can buy the same hard drive from everybody. But once you take a look at the values that they were given outside of just the product table stakes and what generated repeat business, it was product quality, expertise around the product, and responsiveness that drove people to come back over and over again. And I think these are, quite frankly, bedrocks upon which legal technology should be building their service and lawyers should be building their service for their clients. And you should be looking at both of these. All right, let's apply this to Clio real quick, just as an example, to show you one way in which you could be doing this. So Clio's table stakes. We're cloud-based with a mobile app. That's probably certain specifications that you need. We have a variety of pricing from $39 to $99 per month, depending on which pricing level you go with. We comply with our terms of service for best practices when it comes to cybersecurity, and we recognize in our terms of services your need for confidentiality, and we outline how we work alongside you to meet those in a variety of different circumstances. So it's a great way of meeting the table stakes for what you need for your ethical considerations and your budget when it comes to technology. But we move beyond that. So, for example, we invented cloud-based practice management. So that shows that we're an innovative company. We actually work with law firms of all sizes, so from solos all the way to hundreds of attorneys, which means that we have scalability and can grow with you. And we leverage user-centric software design, which gives us a product quality that is unmatched. So from 150,000 lawyers, we're able to get a ton of great feedback on what works for you. And an example of this is our latest update. Required us to do over 600 hours of customer interviews. We spent 60 days on site at law firms just visiting and looking over your shoulders to make sure how you worked. We did over 3,000 customer surveys, 12,000 sales requests, and we sent our staff to our own personal conference specifically to ask you guys questions about how we can help you work better. It shows a level of innovation that we're really working towards striving for you with that user-centric design. We also provide certain values like economic values. We know that people who use our service get paid 33% faster using our built-in credit card processing feature. So that improves your top line. It brings more cash flow. We also help with productivity. As I mentioned, we save the average lawyer 1 to 2 hours a day in non-billable work. We also give you unlimited storage, so we decrease the hassle of maintaining your technology. And we make billing easier for law firms, with the average reduction going from a week to 3 days to generate bills at the end of the month to around 3 hours anecdotally. So that's reduced effort. And these are all ways in which Clio can have ease of doing business. And why do we know that this is a pain point for you? In our annual legal technology survey, we found that most lawyers are spending about 6 hours of their day on administrative and business development tasks. And we're working hard to reduce that pain point for you. We also provide access via the internet. We have 99.9% uptime for accessibility, and we provide free support available 17 hours every weekday. So it's responsiveness that you're looking for. Operationally, we centralize your law firm files, and we integrate with 80-plus apps out there to help you get the most out of the software that you're using. And an example that I like to highlight right now is our newest plugin for Outlook, which enables you to track time, in Clio without leaving Outlook, and enables you to file your emails directly into your case files, again, without leaving Outlook. So it's a way of making your productivity greater. We also have individual value. Like, we help you in growing your firm and meeting your goals and measuring against that. And we also have our Reisman Awards, which recognize law firms that excel in legal innovation, growth, and community participation. The last thing is Clio works hard to demonstrate that we share your values. For example, at our last annual cloud conference, we actually donated $25,000, raised in part with our attendees, to help with disaster relief related to storms that were happening at the time. And it's our way of giving back to the community alongside all the lawyers that are doing great work at their own, whether it be pro bono or sliding scale firms or just their own personal volunteer work. If you go through all of those values and see a company like Clio is the right fit for you, you're probably got a great product, but there's a couple more resources that you might turn to. Bar associations are great for vetting software. Legal-specific publishers right now are publishing their own reviews that are unbiased. Here's an example from Above the Law and Lawyerist. There are software comparison websites like Capterra, G2 Crowd, and GetApps, which have user reviews that also would be very helpful for you. And of course, surveys, taking a look at what the marketplace as a whole is doing. Here, for example, is a list of cloud services being used by in the 2017 ABA Legal Technology Survey Report. And that's one place where you can get a good idea of what people are using. Lastly, I think you should turn to legal technology consultants. They know how both hardware and software is right for your firm. And again, kind of an unbiased third-party source. And you should also take a look at what works well together. So here's an example of Clio's app directory, where we have great tools that plug into Clio and work together, including our host Tom Martin's LawDroid app is there right now. Thank you. I'm Joshua Lenon. This is a quick overview of how to evaluate legal technology. And I hope if you have any questions, you reach out to me either now on the podcast or ask this information in the future. Tom?
Thank you so much, Joshua. It's always a pleasure. And those sound like some really great integrations there, and appreciate that. Also, I do know you have to catch a plane, so thank you so much for your presentation. That's really great stuff, and Clio is an amazing product. So
Well, thank
safe
you. I
travels.
really appreciate that. I will see you guys in New Orleans in just a couple hours.
Cool. Bye.